Hey guys.
Yes, we're back. I want to start this with a quote from Stephen King, which we heard at the beginning. He once wrote, "Nightmares exist outside of logic, and there's little fun to be had in explanations. They're antithetical to the poetry of fear."
Yes.
Which is what we talked about. I don't know when this evening, but at some time, definitely.
Yeah. A lot off camera, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of camera, but some on camera. I know of this. And we're
Well, it's kind of if you say we will think about everything logical.
yeah.
There isn't any fear, is there?
You're right, yeah. Fear is kind of extinct if we see everything in a logical way, in a rational way. Because fear is something like the opposite notion to rationalism, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is actually.
Well, actually, the only thing you can really be afraid of, at least that's what I think, is your own death. Maybe. But you shouldn't be afraid of this too, because it's you can't avoid it. So why be afraid of it?
Yeah.
And fear itself, right?
Yeah. But still, we can't completely free ourselves from being scared and from feeling fear.
No, you can't. That's right. Stand behind obstacles.
Yeah, block off poltergeists.
Objects, yeah. I actually heard, I played through Nightmare Mode with developers' video commentary, and these poltergeist objects were kind of accidental. They had problems with one object in particular, and it was kind of moving in an unforeseen way. Then they used this and implemented it in the game.
I needed a key for
Okay.
the door.
Which I think is really interesting, you know, how ideas develop. It's not really an idea because it's just an accident, but yeah, but in my Nightmare Run video you're probably gonna be seeing some of the developers' video commentary. But I think it's gonna be kind of a short video, just a montage of me getting the manuscript pages.
Anything outside of writing is a struggle. I feel ill. I managed to make my way downstairs. There's a shoebox filled with books and papers by Thomas Zane. It's very hard to focus, but I managed to read some of it. He's a poet, and a good one. He writes of muses and creators summoning fabulous things from a magic lake, using his powers to shape the world of a realm of gods and dreams and demons, dark things that wait for a chance to slip through, wearing the flesh of men as disguise. Zane writes about himself, his girlfriend being taken over by a dark presence, about growing scared of the lake. Zane believes it's a mirror to the gaping void of darkness above, where some Lovecraftian presence lurks. I crawl back upstairs. I'll borrow these things for my story. They ring true. They fit.
Yeah, but this would actually support my theory.
like everything in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the hunting rifle. I don't know if this is the first time we get it. It's actually the best weapon, I think. I mean, besides the flares and the flashbang grenades. Yeah, it would support your theory, yeah.
Yeah, this this game, it kind of hurts me inside.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah,
I wanted to say oh my goddess from now on because that's way more, you know. It's way more less sexist, but yeah.
The kidnapper had sent me a text. The message was full of spelling errors and
This
insults. It was telling me to hurry up.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, no, I'm gonna stop because
go ahead.
I kind of hate myself.
Go ahead, man.
I hate myself. Well, when you write your first draft. And two things, if you go over your first draft, which are okay, grammar and spelling mistakes,
Birds.
and maybe use of language which isn't appropriate for what you are trying to say.
Yeah.
So maybe the kidnapper is one of his greatest fears he's confronting.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're getting at, yeah.
And I mean,
honestly, you see something valid in everything in this game, which I didn't see before, which is totally legit to see, and I think it's great. Honestly,
I mean, he just talked about Thomas Zane and the lake which he dove into as a diver, which he got his creativity off.
Yeah.
And then his muse, which was afraid of the lake.
Yeah.
So you have this lake, which is full of creativity and maybe kind of disconnected to ordinary human life, so you can get the full creativity out of it. But you still have this partner in your life, which is your only connection to your actually real life, and she's scared of it. So you can't really dive into this lake because you have someone in your life which is really important who's afraid of this lake.
Yeah. So you see that as a metaphor for writing itself, or for being creative itself, or for pursuing your creative dreams.
Yeah.
I'm losing it.
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah, because we talked about this in one of the pauses between the recordings.
The hunters were big, thick-set men, confident and at home in the woods. They were feeling good, running on beer, ghost stories, and camaraderie late into the night. It did them no good, as they were taken by the dark presence, sucked deep into a darkness far worse than any ghost story they ever told or heard.
If you're, for example, a writer, you're lost in your creative process, being probably in the same house as your wife or girlfriend or whatever. You have no actual presence she can feel, and she's actually the only thing that connects you to reality.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for her, it's kind of hard for you, because you're actually losing her because of your creative urges in a way. She's losing you because of them. You lose contact to another, you lose total contact to the world.
Yeah, you know what I think is that imagining worlds, being creative is so powerful. It's so powerful because, you know, imagination, you can imaginate everything that ever will be,
or even won't.
Or even
that's closed doors and curtains of his grimy room at the Majestic, the local motel. Nightingale could feel the locals' eyes on him, the unrelenting pressure of their judgment. He forced it out of his mind. For all he knew, they could all be under Wake's spell already. You do what you have to do to get the job done.
He took comfort from the bottle in his hand. Please, he thought, just let me get through this.
Well, I think if you're a person with endless imagination, and you have the skills to okay, this is a boss fight, or?
No, not really, no.
Okay.
Just normal enemies.
Ooh, nice shot.
Yeah, the problem is I didn't even want to do that. If you pick up one weapon or even ammunition for this weapon, you have it equipped.
Okay.
And I did pick up one, obviously one flare gun shell, or even maybe a flare gun, I don't know. So I forgot, or I didn't recognize it and didn't switch back. Yeah, but whatever. You can imagine everything. Imagine everything.
Yeah, I mean, if you can imagine everything and put this imagination into words. I mean, everybody knows daydreams. Everybody knows sitting like in the subway and thinking about yourself having like superpowers and how but everything
I'd have to make my way
goes
up
really
this mine
great.
shaft in
Yeah.
order to go on.
And if you can put
Maybe
this
the
into
machinery could
words,
help
which
me with
means it's more or less like a manifestation of your dreams,
Yeah.
your imagination.
Yeah.
And this is something which goes on and on. It's like a void where you actually start living something which really doesn't exist in the real world.
Yeah, I think that's
It's-
fitting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. It's really hard to explain.
Because you kind of live it in your head. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, if you can imagine everything and you can do everything to yourself, you can put yourself in every situation there is, positive or negative, and you can write this down, which
Yeah.
means it's like it's almost real. It's like real in a different universe.
Yeah.
I think if you have this endless possibility, it's like a you can actually go insane. I really think you could go insane.
Yeah, I mean, that's not just a possibility. Look at how many artists have gone insane over the centuries.
Yes. Yeah.
The question is if it's the art which makes them go insane, or if it's, you know, their like their ability to think of things that shouldn't be in their mind in a way, which is probably the same. I don't know what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I mean, I've said earlier. Sometimes we have thoughts which are really evil. Well, I do.
Yeah, everybody does.
Everybody does. But imagine
If someone says he has not these thoughts, he's just a liar or misunderstands you, I think.
Yeah, and imagine you put these thoughts into like a character you create, where it would be legitimate for this character to have these kind of thoughts.
Yeah.
So you actually make your thoughts.
Lightning flashed behind the windows of Cauldron Lake Lodge. Tor Anderson laughed and held the steel hammer above his head. Nurse Sinclair was trying to calm him down without success. Tor grinned madly and shouted, "My hammer's up. Here's a friendly poke from Molnir, wench." He brought the hammer down with all his might on Sinclair's head. "We're on a comeback tour, baby."
Yeah, but this is what he does, isn't it? I mean, he takes like the knowledge he has, like knowledge of Norse mythology.
This is referring to the old gods of Asgard band.
Yeah, it's Thor and his hammer,
Yeah.
Mjolnir.
Mjolnir, yeah.
Yeah.
You know the two guys which were in the diner at first?
Yeah.
Thor and Odin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's referring to them. But of course,
Did you know that Odin?
he could just create the both of them, you know?
I think it was Odin who had two crows,
Oh, I don't know.
Urim and Turim.
I really don't know. You have to educate me on that
Great.
subject.
Another cable car. Just great.
I think it was Odin, and Odin had two crows, Urim and Turim.
I really don't
And
know.
these crows could, I think, foresee the future?
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's fitting, you know?
Yeah, it's fitting.
Getting
these are
attacked by the
actually-
crows.
And actually, well, okay.
You have to look it up.
I'm gonna look it up now. So I think it's what I said.
Why would anyone go onto a second cable car ride if the first one, ended in a complete disaster, crashed? Good times on a cable car, I guess. I hate it when the enemies just ambush you this way.
Okay.
Oh, this is one of the situations where I always am extremely surprised and extremely jumping off the chair. You missed it because you were looking at your
Yeah,
thing,
I was
but
looking at my thing. I was stroking it.
you were
and-
squeezing your
yeah,
flashlight.
yeah. So
Oh, another cans. I think these are
you
the
wasted
best.
ammo on your hunting rifle.
Yeah, actually, this is no spoiler. In episode 6, there's an achievement where you have to go through the whole episode up until the final boss without once pulling the right trigger, your shooting thing.
Really?
And I did that, of course,
Yeah.
on camera. And you have to destroy the pyramids with your body twice in this episode, and it
So
works.
what do? You like walk up to them?
Yeah,
or-
you like jump into them. And didn't know that works up until I read about this achievement and stuff.
So, why did we get to Thor and Odin? How did we,
These guys, Thor and Odin, I think it's without an H, the
Thor?
guy.
Yeah.
At least in this game, but that doesn't mean that it's not a homage on Thor, you know. Oh, this is kind of interesting, by the way.
Cauldron Lake.
The 8th deepest lake in the world. I think this is one fact that is interesting, at least. Yeah, what I wanted to say is, these guys have wanted to be in this band which is displaying the whole Viking mythology thing.
Okay.
But go ahead and say what you wanted to say.
So I was talking about the ravens, right?
Yeah.
And Odin is actually the North god of death and... Just a second.
Destruction, maybe?
Maybe. War and death.
Oh, yeah.
And this god has two ravens
Okay.
called... Second. Hugin and Munin.
Hugin and Munin.
Yeah, which sit on his shoulders and tell him everything that happens in the world.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
this
that's
may
crazy.
yeah, this may be not very informative, but
But at least it's extremely interesting.
yeah, it is.
I mean, there's so much in terms of references and mythology and literary
Yeah.
references and stuff in this game.
This kind of reminds me of like a classic novel, where you have so much to interpret.
Maybe not a classic, but a modern novel which tries to be, you know, kind of going in all the direction it thinks are interesting, like putting every context and everything in it, because it just wants almost too much.
You think so? But that would be
I know.
quite negative.
No, it's not
Molly
meant
checked all of
negatively,
Stucky's rental
but
cabins. There had been no sign of the wakes. It was dark when he'd found their car parked at the end of the road by Cauldron Lake. It made no sense. They must have taken a wrong turn, but there was no sign of them, and the car had been there for hours already. Frustrated, Mott stood on the rotten ruin of the footbridge that had once led to Diver's Isle before it sank beneath the waves years ago. The boss wouldn't be happy.
we're really close to the end of episode 3, by the way. No, I didn't mean that negative in a negative way, but more like modern, oversaturated pop culture reference in a really thought out way. I don't know how to express it.
Yeah.
This is kind of common in modern culture, right? To be referential of everything and be pointing in all the directions.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, you know the whole game.
Yeah.
So I think a little differently.
Oh, this is kind of interesting.
Tom. I chose you.
I
Thomas
curse
Zane.
you.
I curse you.
Yeah. Thomas Zane. Tom. Did you hate this? Did you write this? I miss you, Tom. You talked to me on TV. What else is there? Oh yeah. CW and TZ, which is what?
Thomas Zane
And
Barbara. No. What was it?
CW.
CW?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cynthia Weaver.
That's the lamp lady.
It's the lamp lady, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is no spoiler, because it's just written there on the wall. I mean,
Yeah.
there is only one person with the initials. So she was obviously in love with him. Yeah, there are actually a lot of lot of hard sequences in this episode, and this is one of them, which are, you know, legit hard to play. At least if you're not overusing flares and flashbangs and the flare gun. The flare gun and the flashbangs make everything easy, basically, but...
So, are you using the hunting rifle right now, or?
Right now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's extremely powerful. You can be at a distance and shoot the most powerful enemies, with exception of the bosses, with 2 shots. Oh, he was extremely evasive. And with a shotgun you need to be extremely up close to have the same effect with 2 shots.
So, have you read Stephen King's The Dark Half?
No.
You haven't?
No, I didn't read a lot of Stephen King books.
Okay.
I mean, my sister was a huge Stephen King fan, and I read all the books she owned when I was a few years younger than she was, but I didn't read that much books because she didn't own that much books of him.
Okay. Well, The Dark Half is about a writer who
I could see Cauldron Lake. I thought I could make out the spot where the island and the cabin had been. There was a light near it. It had to be a boat.
makes up or comes up with a antagonist who's really bad.
Yeah.
And
close
he
now.
starts
I
being
had to get there fast.
bipolar
I dreaded
All
what
right.
I'd find.
and starts being
I tried
the
to
guy.
hold on to Alice, but her
so
form
he's
melted away.
the nice
was
guy
losing
and he's
control.
like the really bad guy
Dr.
in
Hartman
one
started a
person.
place.
Okay.
I wanted to hit him, but my arms were jelly. He smiled. It was a reassuring smile, and I hated him for it. I had to give you a sedative. Don't fight.
It's like in first person
Going through
again.
Another rough period. Right now, it's very important that you stay calm. We don't want you to have another episode.
Yeah.
You're a patient
right.
at my clinic. Have been for a
Perspective
while
change.
I didn't follow the perspectives changes, but I probably should have. But you're right. He's definitely changing the perspectives.
Hey, I'm here!
And we're
I'm coming!
extremely close to the end of episode 3, so if you wanna postulate any theories in another... Oh no, we can do that during the ending song, of course.
We don't have a wife. We don't know where she is.
I love the ending songs, by the way. It's such a great idea to have them.
Oh, that's
yeah,
the
that's-
kidnapper, right?
Yeah, Mott. Let's enjoy the final cutscene. What were your final thoughts?
My final thoughts were that again he was okay, so he's a writer who got lost in this endless lake of creativity, who can't really can't really entscheiden, auseinanderhalten.
Decide or distinguish?
Distinguish, yeah. He can't really distinguish between reality and fiction anymore, and he goes on this journey to. Oh, this is so difficult to explain. But you know what I think? In the last scene, he meets the kidnapper of his real life. You know, like of Alice.
Yeah.
The only thing that
Connects him to reality.
connects him to reality, and the kidnapper was like in really bad shape. So he went all through this whole journey with all his fears he had of crows attacking him.
Yeah.
And of this dark place, and he sees this kidnapper who's like on the floor. He's really weak.
Yeah.
So he knows the fear, this like concentrated fear he meets at the end.
Yeah.
Is when he meets him on the end, because when he had him on the phone, he was like really tough. You know, he was like, we got your wife, and we're gonna kill it if you don't come.
Yeah.
And he meets him, he finally gets there, he overcomes all his other fears, and he meets the kidnapper. And
then he sees that the kidnapper is really weird and full of fear himself.
Yeah, because his fear was not really rational.
Yeah.
And as he realizes that, he starts falling into the lake.
Or getting sucked into the lake, yeah.
Yeah, he gets sucked into the lake. Yeah. So how do we explain that?
I mean,
Because-
there's this deep force in him. If I'm allowed to go
Yeah,
your
of course.
route, you know,
Yeah.
the force in him which is too strong for him, and which sucks him back into this deep lake, as you said it before, of his own dark creativity, which he can't escape, and it sucks him back in.
Yeah.
And he sees
And-
that is. What did you see Mott as an image in his life, or as a metaphor in his life? He was like his rationalism, and even his rationalism gets dragged down by this deep force. Gets
Yeah.
destroyed by this deep force, and he gets sucked back in this deep lake of creativity, or dark creativity, dark thoughts, you know? That's how I understand your theory, at least.
Yeah. Well, if you have the theory, because at the beginning of the cutscene you saw him like writing on the typewriter,
Yeah,
and he was like, okay, there's no way out of this.
yeah,
And suddenly he meets, maybe, I mean, this is like episode 3,
yeah.
right?
This is episode
So
3
he met one of his
6.
fears. He met one of the fear that, or maybe not the fear, but he's a writer. He's lost in his own time and space, and he has this Alice, this wife, which is his only connection to reality. And I think if you're like really into writing and you're really sucked into this creativity, you actually start hating your wife because she tries to put you back into reality.
Oh, I see what you're getting
And
at. Yeah,
you have his maybe split personality, in which is viewed by the kidnapper.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm overdoing it now, but which is displayed by his kidnapper, and he goes all this way to meet his fear, which he thinks is like his final fear.
yeah,
Meeting the kidnapper, which is like, okay, I am writing and I hate my wife actually, because she's keeping me from writing,
Yeah.
from creativity. And he meets this guy who hates his wife, which is actually himself, and he sees this is not the final fear,
because
this-
this guy's destroyed himself. Is destroyed. You know, this guy's at the bottom.
yeah. Well, this is not the main cause of what causes my self-destruction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And then he's sucked back into this creativity thing.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
just,
yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah,
And I think maybe in the next episodes, I don't know, he will confront maybe different fears, which are higher than that.
yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't
Maybe
seen
I'm
it.
getting back to my maybe.
Yeah.
I
But-
think you will be hopefully kind of really interested in the upcoming plot development.
Yeah, I am
I
very
mean that you're
interested.
interested. I see that you're interested, but I hope you will be satisfied. And we will have that right up, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's great. What I want to say before we end this is it's a Nick Cave song, and it's called "Up Jump the Devil," which we heard just now.
Up jumped the devil.
Up Jump the Devil.
Well, I think Alan Wake's devil
Yeah.
is something else.